This is Will Faerber from Art to Ride, and I'm here today with Dave Murphy, lunging his horse Zoe. We've had quite a few questions have come in on the internet for us about lunging, people wanting to start their horses. So I thought this would be a good opportunity, since you can watch someone, Dave here, who's not quite as good at it as I am, who might make some mistakes, and we can talk about what he's doing right and what he's doing wrong. So as I said in my blog before, or in some of my answers to some of you, the most important thing that you have to establish when you're lunging a horse, the first thing you have to establish is that the horse will simply stay out at the end of the line. So before you worry about whether the horse is trotting or will walk or whoa, especially, as I said, most people worry about whoa. You need to worry about go, meaning the horse will go out to the end of the line. So the whip is your leg, essentially, and you're basically moving the horse into your hand, which is your rein. And if that's done correctly, the horse will move out and stay out there. And then the most important thing, the next important thing, once you can keep them out there, then you can begin to worry about what gait the horse is in and the quality of that gait. But the first thing that has to happen, as I said, is the horse simply has to stay out there. Now, can you see how as Dave now has let the horse become a little too slow? So he needs to keep his whip up and send her on forward so she'll go out into the reins a little more. Like that. So he has to be a little more active. Now notice that he's always walking forward with the horse. So he's never backing up. And that was a problem that he had when I first started working with Dave, is that he was always backing away from the horse. So this is very much body language here. It's so important. It's so important that you stretch up yourself and that you stand tall when you're lunging. You know, and then that you have a, right, Dave, that you suck your gut out, bring your chest out, just like you would when you have good posture standing up. Because that will help the horse respect you, because once again, there's a visual aspect to it. The horse has to respect your position on the ground. Now, once again, Dave's let the horse get too slow there. Can you see how the horse begin to come in on the line? So once again, he needs to send the horse out on the line and keep her more active. Then he has to begin to look for a working trot. So the working trot, that is when the horse is reaching as deeply underneath the body. Now, this is a horse who's quite nervous, and he's doing this. A little car just went by, so that's going to send her into a little tizzy fit there. Now, a few months ago, that tizzy fit would have lasted for a half an hour of her running around like a lunatic. Now he's able to bring her right back down by sending her forward. So the most important thing here is to understand, just like when you ride, you can't constantly stop and let a horse look at everything that it wants to look at. If you do, you will never get from point A to point B, because pretty soon they will look at everything and you'll get nowhere at all. So the best advice in the classical school is always just ignore whatever is making them do however they're reacting, and just send them on forward, just actively forward. And then even if they're a little too actively forward, you can just settle them down after the fact. But don't try to hoe. That's the bigger mistake most people make with horses, especially hot-blooded horses, is they worry about whether the animal will stand still before they can actually channel the horse forward. So you kind of have to think about how a stallion works a herd. Any of you have ever been fortunate enough, and I'm sure there's probably on YouTube you can find some, but watch what a stallion does. He controls the herd by sending it, by pushing it forward, just like we are controlling this mare by sending her forward on the lunge line. A stallion never stops the horse, and gets her in place. In fact, he has to woo the lady to get her to stand still, and usually after he's probably had her moving around a while. So if you watch how a stallion works a herd, it's just exactly how you must lunge a horse. They'll get behind them and nip them right in that fleshy part of their buttocks above the hocks there, which is the place that you ought to touch the horse with the whip. There's only 3 places we ever want to touch the horse with the whip, and those are right in that fleshy part above the hock there, and right at the point where where your leg would be is another point that we can touch when we want to move the horse away. And the third place would be if a horse spins around on you, it's okay to run the lash out and touch them on the shoulder to get them to switch back around in the opposite direction. So once again, now we're seeing Dave has got this horse moving better. It's got a nice swinging trot now. It's starting to get better, and she's relaxing over her top line, though she tends to go up and down. Now, this is a horse whose mouth was very nervous and busy, so we spent quite a bit of time just letting her relax. And notice that the side reins are correctly adjusted on this horse. They're such a length that the horse is not confined in any way, but if it throws its head way up in the air, it's going to encounter the contact with the bridle. But if it stretches down, also there's something there for it to stretch down into and accept that contact. So that is the correct length of side rein, unless you are working a much more advanced horse into collection. And that's a whole nother lesson. But for right now, most of you, and even with advanced level horses, they mostly need to lunge. And this kind of length of rein, the idea of the lunging, getting them to be soft and round over the back and stretching into the contact instead of confining their necks, as most people are doing today in riding. We see most horses with their necks just crimpled in. That's not the same thing as collection. Collection is after the horse has developed the back. Collection is the degree to which the horse lowers the three joints of the hind leg. It's very simply one thing. It's not a horse actively snapping its legs up either, as we see in the show ring today. The horses are just active. They're not really collected. So happily, we see Dave on his way to some good and active work there. Now she's starting to swing into the contact there a little bit, and she's starting to relax. Even though there are cars going by, it's not setting her off quite so much. And he's keeping her working just like that, in a working trot. And she spooks a little bit. Same thing here. He's not going to try to stop her. He's going to send her on a little bit with his whip, and then he's going to settle her down. Instead of trying to make her whoa first, he's going to make her go a little bit. My father taught me when I was a very young man that if I had a horse that was a runaway, he'd take me out in the big field and say, get on it and now gallop it till it doesn't want to gallop anymore. And then ride it for another few minutes and it won't get run away anymore. Well, that is the most important lesson you'll ever learn with horses. If you try to force them to stand still, you'll be in trouble. Now we can see there that he needs to push the horse out a little bit on the circle. Once again, remember our primary goal that has to happen before anything else, before the pieces will all work, is the horse has to stay out on the lunge line into the hand so that we can control it. Just like when we ride, we want the horse to move into the contact with the bridle, not fall behind it nor bear down on it. We want it to respect it, but yet take a soft and supple contact with it that allows us to communicate with the horse. Very nice. All right, so this is Dave Murphy lunging Zoe today. I hope some of these points have helped you in watching Dave do it. Once again, I hope that helps as well. You can see the proper development of the horse now. She's starting to stretch into the contact, though she could be a little more active there. And once we get everything else, we got to be sure that we get a working trot. That is the horse working over the top line with a good swinging. Another trot. That is the deepest trot. That is the deepest step underneath with the slowest rhythm. Those are the things we're trying to put together. When we put those things together, we usually have the working trot. That is the horse working over its back. There, and see how nicely she's starting to stretch into that contact now. Thanks a lot. This is Will Faerber from Art to Ride. We'll see you next time.